Hi, Steph.
What's up, Gina?
How much fun was that second quarter? And also, do you feel like a team establishes an identity on defense just the way it does on offense, and that's something you guys are still trying to find at this early stage?
Yeah, I think when you start out a season with the expectations that we have, coming off a championship and the level that we finished off the year, it's that's what you're comparing yourself to, and we understand we have to be better on that end of the floor. We scored enough tonight, obviously, especially 50 in the second quarter. But you're giving up 70-something, and that allows them a little bit of life to think that, a couple runs can get them back in the game, and that's what happened, in the fourth. So it's we balancing like our expectation of how we should play and the pride around our defense, but also understanding that you have, 6 guys coming off the bench that have established roles, for us this year that didn't necessarily have it last year. And you have to develop chemistry and get the reps in, and hopefully we can win in the process of learning. So, that's the process we have to go through, and we're going through it.
Were you sitting in that fourth thinking you were done for the night?
Yes.
But I guess what was that like? I guess what did you see from the bench unit that allowed them to get back in it and going back onto the floor for that fourth? Were you guys cold? I mean, did you sense you guys were kind of cold?
Kind of the same thing. Like, we have 5 guys out there that they're in a spot of opportunity, but it is a tough spot to, play at the level that they need to on both ends of the floor. So if you're, fouling, not getting stops, and we kind of got lulled into a little bit of ISO ball a little bit where, the ball doesn't move and you don't make them defend on the other end. It's the perfect recipe for a comeback. And that's what they did. And then those last 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, 5 minutes, when we came back in, we're just trying to hold the fort down and just get a dub and then talk about what we need to talk about after the game.
Steve had a timeout with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, looked pretty frustrated. Talked later here about kind of just the defensive effort or lack thereof, especially with some of the second unit guys, the young guys. How do you relay to the younger guys who have such a bigger role this year that every second matters, even in a game where you do score 50 points in the second quarter, you're up by 26, just sending that message to those young guys?
We can say it and we can tell them, hey, when 2012, we went through this too. But you have to feel it, and that's part of the growth. The growth of young guys trying to understand how hard it is to win in this league. Like, you can look at the team coming in 0-2. They're gonna fight. They're gonna have a sense of pride of trying to get over the hump. And no matter what the lead is, they're going to compete, especially with Mike B and what he's preaching over there. So it's a great lesson of, we make it look easy at times. And that's built over, a decade of work and reps. So it's really hard to win in this league. And to sustain that 48 minutes is a long time. And like you said, every detail does matter. So you have to feel it and get exposed a little bit to understand what it means to win.
Steph, once the second unit with the young guys and the new guys does start to come together, they build that chemistry. What do you think is the ceiling or potential level of your guys' bench this year?
There are a lot of positives tonight. They showed it in the second quarter. Beginning of the second quarter, I think they grew the lead, the first 5 minutes or so. So there's enough film to show them, what that effort does look like, but you have to be able to sustain that and take it night after night. So we could have the best 11-man rotation, in the league and have the blessing of riches of who you want to throw into the rotation. But you have to earn that, and we're going to go through that process.
You connected with Wiseman on a pick and roll, I think, in the first quarter. You did plenty of that when he was a rookie. What are you seeing with him differently in that kind of action now compared to a couple of years ago?
I think he's understanding timing, sacrificing his body to set good screens. I even like the offensive or the Eagle screens he gets because he's trying to understand angles and timing and, positioning and all that. But he seems much more confident on when you do come off rolling, being able to catch it, survey, finishing at the rim. So, again, it's just reps and reps and reps because pick and roll with him can be very lethal, and it's something that should be a go-to outside of our usual motion offense. It takes a little bit longer to kind of feel and understand, but he's trying to do all the right things, and that's all you can ask for.
Would you like to get more, I guess, two-man action with him?
Oh, the age-old is more pick and roll question. Yeah, let's run pick and roll every possession. See what happens. Not
Steph,
really, though.
Along the lines of things, coming together and things taking time and chemistry and all, Draymond and Clay have also been on a minutes restriction early on. So does that sort of, you don't get in quite the same rhythm yet until they're playing their regular time too, right? I mean, that factors into it a little bit.
100%. We knew that going into the season, however long it was going to take for them to get to their usual runs and the patience that comes with that to know everybody's going to have an opportunity. I think for Draymond, he's found, that burst when he's out there pushing in transition, his defensive presence, but he's playing with a lot of energy in those minutes. And then Clay, obviously, as well. I think he's gotten hot a couple runs, during his restricted minutes and all that. I think it's frustrating for him just because you're trying to balance like him being a threat to score, but also looking at the clock and saying, "Oh, I only got so many possessions," and you're trying to balance it all. So, it's part of where we are and what's necessary to keep the big picture in mind. But there are some frustrations around that for sure. You want to play. Everybody wants to play.
Your 5-man starting lineup had never played a second together before the playoffs last year. How quickly do you remember that kind of clicking? And I mean, you guys have really, since the playoffs, been pretty much the best 5-man unit in basketball. Does it feel that way?
Yeah, we won a championship, and a lot of that's because of how we performed. It's again built on the experience of knowing how we play over the course of the last decade. Loon and Wiggs plugging holes and playing at a very high level, with us three. So there's a lot of confidence in that no matter what the situation is, we can find a lot of chemistry there and carrying that over into this season, even with the minutes restriction stuff. So they're a burst of what we're capable of, and you have to continue to, just focus on that through this early season process and hopefully win a lot of games along the way. Keep pounding. Way to go, Carolina Panthers. I see you. See you. Be here tomorrow.